Welcome back. Well, right now the president putting the finishing touches on the State of the Union address.
It's an exciting time. We've got a lot of great ideas, and now we're at the point where we're trying to get it down to really great language so that we can make the most compelling case for the president's agenda to the American people. It's not so much the big revisions, now we're getting down to the real edits, the back and forth on the language.
I like it. I think the tone is right. I think the framework's right.
That was a look behind the scenes a little bit inside the White House in the days leading up to this big night. As you can tell from all that prep, it's a high-stakes event for the Commander-in-Chief and gives President Obama an opportunity to set the tone for 2014. Joining me now for a preview are two political analysts who will lay out what the president should and should not say. Polling expert Mike Dawidziak is the president of strategic planning, and Democratic strategist Chris Hahn also here. He's a host of the Christopher Hahn Show on 103.9 LI News Radio on Sunday nights, 6 to 8 p.m. Appreciate both your times. I know that you guys are political heavyweights, so let's start off. Here's what strikes me. The president just recently basically chastised Congress, talking about his executive orders. How does he do that and then set the tone for tonight?
I think he's a forceful commander-in-chief tonight that says, if you don't do it, I'll do it. And he'll take executive actions where Congress won't act where he can.
Now, is he going to say that tonight, though?
I have a feeling he's going to say something like that, maybe not as harsh. Mike's right. It is a midterm election, but this president has not shown that he's cared too much about these midterm elections, and I don't think he thinks he's winning back the House of Representatives anyway. And if he could temper the argument a little bit with some places in the Senate and actually do executive actions that help some vulnerable Democrats, I think it might be a good thing for him to do tonight.
What do you think the tone's going to be like tonight?
Well, he's going to have to be the salesman-in-chief tonight,
right?
Because he's going to have to try to convince.
When he's basically angered all of Congress, and especially the GOP.
Well, forget about Congress. He's angered a lot of the American people. I mean, the polls are not good for him right now. I mean, his approval rating is low. Only 35% of the American people think the country's on the right track. Only 35% think Obamacare was a good idea. I mean, the polls are just terrible for him. So he's got to do a good job selling the people tonight that they're happier than they think they are, because they don't think they're very happy.
You're absolutely right, and he's got to sell them on his primary achievement, which is Obamacare, the American Affordable Care Act.
So
he's got to come.
I don't know how he does that.
I think he's got to come out and say, look,
it.
Here's what's happened since we've had a dismal launch, but we fixed it. And here's why people should enjoy this bill, because there's 10 million people now who didn't have health care that now have health care, whether it be through the expansion of Medicaid or through signing up on the website. So there are 10 million Americans now who otherwise would be uninsured who are insured, and that's a good thing, and you should take credit for that.
That might be, but only 12% of people in the polls say that their life is now better because of Obamacare.
Yeah, because people don't understand Obamacare.
Right.
And that's because
it's
the president's own fault, because the president didn't do a good enough job telling the American people, pounding his chest about his #1 accomplishment. So the president needs to go out there tonight, and he needs to pound his chest about his accomplishment, maybe point to a few people in the crowd who now have health insurance, who now have health care, who ordinarily wouldn't. I think it's a good thing.
I don't think that's going to convince the vast majority of the people that they're happier than they think they are.
Well, just remember, the vast majority of people will not be watching the speech tonight. You and I will. The viewers of News 12 will.
There's a point. But they'll be watching the sound bites tomorrow at the very least.
Does he come out and apologize again for the fact that he said if you want to keep your insurance?
Nope.
He doesn't even mention that.
I don't think he mentions that at all.
Does he get hammered in the rebuttal for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
He absolutely gets hammered in the rebuttal for it.
The problem with the rebuttal is it's the curse of the rebuttal. Remember, there's three rebuttals tonight.
I know.
So you got the great Mike Lee giving a tea party. The brain surgeon of the United States Senate, Mike Lee, who I compared to a box of hammers on my show last Sunday, and quite frankly, I apologize to the box of hammers for comparing Mike Lee to the box of hammers.
Okay. Decaf. And
then you got Rand Paul, who thinks Monica Lewinsky should be an issue in the 2016 election. So, I mean, great.
So,
down boys.
So back to the State of the Union. So he talks about Obamacare. Does he take on immigration reform? I mean, does it come out really big?
Actually, it's the one thing that is a negative for the Republicans. So absolutely.
Immigration.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he knows, not this year. It won't be a negative for the Republicans in 2016, but in 2014, but in 2016 it could be a huge negative for them. He knows that.
And the Republicans
And it's one thing which he can lay at their doorstep is their unwillingness to move on.
Does he run a risk, though, coming out too big and then not getting anything accomplished?
Last year he laid out about 40 things.
That's
he got
exactly
two
what he
things
did
accomplished.
last year.
It's funny because I was watching LBJ's 64 State of the Union, and he laid out like 5 major programs: Social Security expansion, Medicare, the Civil Rights Act. Every single thing that he laid out got accomplished. We don't have an LBJ in the White House right now. We haven't had one since LBJ. He's got to say what he can do on his own, because this Congress is not going to do anything for him. They don't want to help him. Not even the Democrats in the Senate really want to help him. Who wants to help him is himself. If he wants to move this ball forward, he's got to do it himself. He's got to tell them how he's going to do it.
Okay, let's get a little bit from the other side right now, real quickly. Republicans issuing a challenge to the president. Leaders in the GOP think President Obama's policies to combat income inequality, we'll talk about that on the other side, will backfire.
Does he want to be a hero to the left or a champion for the middle class? He could double down on the failed policies that brought us to this point. It would make his base pretty happy, I'm sure. But we certainly know where that path leads for the middle class.
All right, so there's going to be 2 issues in income inequalities.
Yep.
Minimum wage
Right.
and the middle class. How big does he have to come out tonight with that?
Well, I think he's going to come out big on it, because the more he can keep the argument on this type of thing, the more he keeps it off Obamacare. Obamacare is a loser for him, no matter how he tries to sell it, no matter how confident Chris is that he can really sell the people that they're happier than they are with it. As if he can keep this argument on economic issues, it's a winner for him.
Mike, to quote John Lennon, it's getting better all the time, Obamacare. And I think by the end of the year, it's going to be a great thing. But you're right, income inequality is what's going to win midterm elections for Democrats. The president's got to focus on it. Right. Nobody believes that the Republicans want to do anything about it. Even poor Republicans don't believe it, as Mike would probably tell you through polling. So nobody believes that they've got an edge on it. This president cares about the people in the middle class and the working class in this country, and he's got to come out and say what he's going to do for them. He's already said he's going to do an executive action for government contracts. Let's see what else he could do for income.
Okay, is this speech important for 2014?
Oh, I think it's very important, because it's going to set a governmental agenda for this year, and of the entire House stands for re-election in that chamber, who's going to sit there listening to that speech tonight. The entire House, all 435 members, stand for re-election. 35 members of the Senate stand for re-election. They're going to be, the Democrats are going to be sitting there nervously thinking, do not take this speech too far to the left.
It's important for February of 2014. By the end of February, nobody's talking about the State of the Union anymore.
All right,
we'll see what happens.
It's not far off, so we'll see exactly who's right tonight. Mike Dawidziak, Chris Hahn, thanks for coming in, as always, and to all of our viewers. News 12 will carry the President's State of the Union speech live starting at 9 o'clock. We'll also be streaming that address live on news12.com.